This is NASCAR Coast to Coast, presented by Whelen, also brought to you by Hercules Tires. Now, with the latest NASCAR local, regional, touring, and international racing news and views, here are Hannah Newhouse and Kyle Rickey.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to NASCAR Coast to Coast here on the Motor Racing Network. I am coming to you from my kitchen table, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't in my pajama pants. Kyle's probably doing the same thing up in Killingly, Connecticut, my co-host, and he's probably also going insane without being able to visit not only Foxwood casinos, but Disney World, the modified races. He's probably going a little stir-crazy up in Connecticut, as are the rest of us, with no racing. So we're hoping everyone is staying healthy out there and staying home as much as they can. I know it's a trying time without short track racing going on, but obviously the biggest concern is being able to get everyone healthy, and then we can go racing again. So no real racing took place over the weekend, but there was plenty of virtual racing as NASCAR took to esports to fill the void. It all started with an idea that both Kevin Hamlin and TJ Majors, who are spotters in the Cup Series, came together and said, hey, we need to do something to fill our time. And so they created this race called the Replacement 100, and we'd talked about it a little bit last week on our show. Spotter Josh Williams came through and won the race, and it all snowballed from there. Fox, needing to fill that void on their TV with no other sports being played, they came up with the Pro Invitational Series, and if you guys watched it on Sunday, it was entertaining, to say the least. Denny Hamlin did win that race, but it wasn't without Jimmy Johnson wrecking at least like half the field at one point. And he was a lap down, I think, when it happened. So everyone was very entertained with it. Kurt Busch couldn't get out of his own way either. There was just a lot of entertainment in there, and according to Twitter, Alex Bowman's dog actually filled in at one point while Bowman took a restroom break. So all of the fans enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it as well. I hung out with the folks from Dirty Mo Media during that to watch that, but it was a great production put on by the whole team over at iRacing with Steve Myers. Fox did a phenomenal job of pulling this together relatively last minute. They had Jeff Gordon on the call as well as Mike Joy. Clint Boyer raced in studio, so we all know that was plenty of entertainment in itself. But it all came together also for a good cause. A lot of people were asking, did these guys race for anything? And it was actually the opposite. About $15,000 were donated to the Homestead area because they raced at Virtual Homestead Miami Speedway. Hamlin said before the race that for every lap he led, he would donate $100 to the Homestead Miami area families that needed help during this time. And if he won, he would donate $5,000. So Fox Sports came up on board and said, we'll match that. They matched his $5,000, and iRacing as well joined in on the cause. So $15,000 is going to be headed to the Homestead Miami Speedway area this weekend to help feed the families in need at this point. But it has snowballed, this whole virtual racing, to fill the void of not being able to get to the racetrack every weekend. Short track racing followed the lead, and the Rattler 250 was supposed to be held this past weekend down in Alabama. It was a last-minute call. They canceled that race as well. And Speed 51 took it upon themselves to host the virtual version. Devin Morgan won, which is actually a name more familiar with in dirt racing, dirt late models. But it was so cool to see your defending Snowball Derby winner, Travis Braden. He actually had to drive over to Natalie Decker's place to make sure that he had internet, because the likes of Steven Nasse and Derek Kraus were also entered in this virtual Rattler 250, and unfortunately their internet did not pan out for them. Steven Nasse actually tweeted a video of him getting in the pool at one point and made the reference of, well, when your internet doesn't work, instead of racing, you do this. And so it was a great race. There was a lot of people that maybe could use a couple more laps on iRacing before entering some more virtual races. And I know a lot of those Cup guys that were in the Pro Invitational Series, they are going to be putting in their practice laps this week as well. But again, it's been a great void that has been, or it's been a great way to fill the void of no racing. It's easily accessible. A lot of these people are able to just hop on their laptop, their phone, and watch this, and plenty of entertainment. I know we have an iRacing rig at our house, and actually, as I'm recording this, Dylan is upstairs playing iRacing. He's entered himself in a midget race a little bit later, I believe, in the week. So you can't stop racers from racing. They will find a way to drive something at this point. I'm pretty sure we'd race lawnmowers if we could. But But it's been a lot of fun to watch. There'll be more racing, obviously, throughout the weeks. But one of the racetracks that tried to make an actual last-run effort to run 2 weekends ago, and we talked about it on last week's show, Hickory Motor Speedway, they tried to hold their opening night 2 weekends ago, and about midway through, the city showed up, shut them down, and they obviously had to cancel it. Myrtle Beach was the only one that did get that race in on the East Coast. Kyle Rickey managed to finally catch up with their announcer of Jason Sherrill, and we will hear all about what went down at Hickory Motor Speedway after the break.
Citywide to countryside. Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. Go to HerculesTire.com. There you can find the nearest authorized Hercules retail location to you. Plus, you can use the Tire Tracker to find out which Hercules tire fits your vehicle the best. That's HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength. Whelen designs and manufactures reliable and powerful warning lights, white illumination lighting, sirens, controllers, and high-powered warning systems for automotive, aviation, and mass notification industries worldwide. Every part of every Whelen product is proudly designed and manufactured in America and is tested on site to meet the toughest industry certifications. On the road, in the air, and around the world, Whelen is trusted to be seen, trusted to be heard, trusted to perform.
Back to NASCAR Coast to Coast, brought to you by Whelen and by Hercules Tires. Here are Hannah Newhouse and Kyle Rickey.
Back here on NASCAR Coast to Coast on the Motor Racing Network, Kyle Rickey with you, practicing my safe distancing here in Killingly, Connecticut, with our audio-only show this week, as Hannah mentioned in our opening segment. She'll return in a few minutes, but first, let's chat with the voice of one of the most famous short tracks in the country. Jason Sherrill joins us from the Hickory Motor Speedway. And Jason, welcome to NASCAR Coast to Coast.
Well, thank you, Kyle. Glad to be on. I appreciate you having me on.
Now, before we start talking about racing, you're supposed to be on a cruise ship right now. Is that correct?
That is correct. My wife and I and her family were supposed to be headed to the Bahamas right now, but instead we're enjoying another beautiful, rainy, cold day here in North Carolina.
Well, let's see. Rainy and cold there in North Carolina. Here in Connecticut, it's snowing, so I still think you might have the upper hand, at least in this conversation. Now, for the last 2 weekends, most short tracks have not been in operation, but Jason, you found yourself in a fairly unique situation 10 days ago. The first weekend of the, I guess we were in the process of shutting down across the country. Hickory actually started its race program, but was shut down halfway through from the state of North Carolina. You're the one that had to deliver the news to the fans in the stands and on the track's social media channels. What was that night like for you?
That was extremely difficult. Because we had assured everybody all week. I was told to run the Hickory Motor Speedway website or the Facebook page. So we have been getting messages all week from, especially Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning, from racers, race fans. You know, are y'all going to race? And we're assuring them, yes, we're going to race. You can come out, you're going to race. Drivers are, before I code 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, make travel plans to be in Hickory, North Carolina. Are you going to race? Yes, we're going to race. So delivering the news was extremely disappointing because we had assured everybody that we're going to race. We're making things safe for the fans. We've got extra hand sanitizing stations. We even canceled our on-track autograph session to do the safe distancing thing. And the racetrack is a place where people go to get away from problems of the real world, get away from the social distractions and social media and the news. And I knew that when I put that mic on, then at that moment I was going to have to bring the real world into the racetrack. And that's the last thing we ever want to do. And then I was going to have to basically send everybody that we assured we were going to race 30 minutes before the race was to begin, send them back out into the real world. So it was pretty hard to have to deliver that news.
And this is after, practice and qualifying? You were literally within 30 minutes of starting the main events, right?
Yes, that's correct. We started that morning. There was no decree at all from our government, from the governor of North Carolina. So we were safe. There was only recommendations, suggestions in place. And I think Hickory Speedway's track management did a very good job of relaying to the fans, the safe practices. We've heard about them now for 2 weeks. Wash your hands, use hand sanitizer, social distancing, the whole 9 yards. We're getting used to hearing that by now. But, it was a really fluid situation at the time and really new. But the track did a great job. We had a good crowd and actually felt pretty much like a normal Saturday night. Until about 4:30, the governor came on with a press conference on television. And I actually went down and was watching the press conference, and he was talking about how everything was going to shut down. 100 people or more, 100 people in a gathering or more had to shut down. But everything we were hearing and watching was saying it's back to Monday morning. So we knew we were good to race. We were going to go with it. So I went back up and started qualifying. We got all of qualifying in for all of our divisions. Then about 6:30-ish, I got a phone call from the general manager. He said, Jason, we need you to come out. I went down there. They were reading over the written order that had come out. It just came out from Raleigh, North Carolina. And unfortunately, it stated effective immediately. And we kind of went back and forth, what do we do? Can we race? Can we not race? Do we have to shut down now? And then we talked to some more people higher up, and they said no, that if we continued the show, we'd be going against government order, and that we needed to shut down right then. And we were putting other people not only at risk, of the virus, but we were putting our local law enforcement, asking them if we were to race, we were going to have to basically our local law enforcement, EMS, and fire to break this government ordinance as well. So at that point, we had no choice. We had to stop, unfortunately, 20, 30 minutes before green flag.
And at that point, what's the reaction of the folks in the stands and like you mentioned, the folks that towed maybe a couple of hours to race that night? Were most of them understanding? And I'm sure a lot of them weren't connected to what you were connected to, and didn't see the press conference and hear the announcements, and were probably pretty confused for a couple minutes anyway.
Yes, they were very confused. There wasn't a lot of confusion in the stands, but I'll tell you, I'll give it to our Hickory Motor Speedway fans, competitors, drivers, the team. They actually took it in stride and took it very, very well for the most part. You've always got those few that, want to argue over everything, and, they felt there was like an underlying conspiracy theory, from the track, but for the most part, the fans and the competitors, drivers took it very well. During qualifying, I did make mention several times that the governor was in the middle of a press conference, stating that 100 people or more gathering has been banned effective Monday, because at the time that's what we knew. So we were telling them, I was telling them in advance, check your calendars for next Saturday night, or check the Hickory Motor Speedway website or the Cars Tour website, because that was what's supposed to be there 2 nights ago. So I was advertising it as if it was going to go on, but telling them to watch their website just in case we don't get the race. So at least I had a little bit of a bug in their ears that the governor was giving a press conference at the current time.
So, busy night there for you. How do you think this shutdown will affect short tracks across the country, but in particularly the track that you're involved with, Hickory? Now that we're 2 weekends into this, you mentioned you've already had to postpone the Cars Tour event that was scheduled there this past weekend. Where do these short tracks go from here, knowing that there's a lot of season openers that are about to happen at tracks across the country that most likely aren't going to happen now?
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, the state of short track racing is already, in a tough situation with fewer drivers, fewer cars, fewer fans turning out year after year from, what we call the glory days of racing. So it's going to be tough. We promised sponsors, this night is your night, and this night is your night. We're going to have to try to get those nights moved to other nights whenever this ban is lifted. But Hickory Speedway, I don't really want to speak to the management of the Speedway itself, but the Speedway obviously is leased. The track promoter has to lease the track, and he has to pay the lease monthly, regardless whether we race or not. Whether it's rain out, whether it's just COVID-19 virus shutting us down. The track has to pay its bills, power bills, the whole 9 yards. So, we've got to get the racing sooner rather than later.
Absolutely, and hopefully that racing continues. You guys did get one night in. How did that night go? I guess it was one night prior to the shutdown night 10 nights ago. How was opening night for you guys?
Opening night was fantastic. Had a great field, had the maximum car count for our late model stock cars. We ran win 40 lappers that night. Nitro Lubricants has come on board to Hickory Motor Speedway this year and offered us a $25,000 Nitro Lubricants championship bonus challenge. If any Hickory Motor Speedway regular goes out this year and brings home the national championship trophy to Hickory Motor Speedway, that driver is going to get an additional $25,000 courtesy of Hickory Motor Speedway general manager and Nitro Lubricants, and that's in addition to the big money they would get for the national championship. So they had a lot of interest, a lot of cars showed up, and Ryan Millington was really the star of the show that night. He found himself running third with about 5 laps to go, where Matt Pearson and Charlie Watson had run side by side for the lead virtually the whole race. And we're putting on a show for the fans. On the white flag lap, Charlie Watson got into the back of Pearson. Both of them spun, bringing out the caution in turn 3. Went back to a green-white checkered, and Ryan Millington found himself with the win. By NASCAR rule, we have to invert a minimum of 8 cars. So we let the winner of the first race draw an 8, a 9, or a 10. He drew 8. So he inverted 8 cars for the second race later that night. And Millington, caution-free, had to work his way from 8th up to 1st, and it's a good thing he only drew an 8 because he got to the leaders on the last lap and made the pass, and he ended up bringing home both checkered flags and taking a big first step with 2 races, 2 wins towards that championship challenge by Nitro Lubricants.
Yeah, and 2 full fields to go along with it. I feel like Ryan's been the star there last couple seasons anyway. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Anytime he comes to Hickory, he's our former track champion 2007. So anytime he comes to Hickory, he is definitely a driver to contend with, him and that whole Bob Seville racing team.
All right, well, hopefully you guys can get back up and at it here within the next couple of weeks or so. I know here in Connecticut it'll be at least the second week of May or so. Not sure what you guys are hearing down there, but hopefully it's sooner than that as you guys, like you mentioned, chase that national championship for one of your drivers, hopefully there at Hickory.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for. Right now, I think the timeline is 2 weeks from now, unless anything has changed today or will change this week. Again, it's a fluid situation, as you know, so we're just kind of waiting and hoping for the best. Hopefully here in a couple weeks we can go back to racing with our normal NASCAR Whelen All-American Series program.
Well, thanks for joining us here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. Hopefully you guys have a great season once you get back to normal, and also hope you can rebook that cruise as well. Maybe a post-season cruise is on the horizon for you guys.
Absolutely. That's what we're going to shoot for anyway.
All right, thanks for joining us. Jason Sherrill, Hickory Motor Speedway, here on the hotline. Coming up, we return to North Carolina, where Hannah Newhouse will have our NASCAR Whelen Track Spotlight as NASCAR Coast to Coast continues.
Citywide to countryside. Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. Go to HerculesTire.com. There you can find the nearest authorized Hercules retail location to you. Plus, you can use the Tire Tracker to find out which Hercules tire fits your vehicle the best. That's HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength. Whelen designs and manufactures reliable and powerful warning lights, white illumination lighting, sirens, controllers, and high-powered warning systems for automotive, aviation, and mass notification industries worldwide. Every part of every Whelen product is proudly designed and manufactured in America and is tested on site to meet the toughest industry certifications. On the road, in the air, and around the world, Whelen is trusted to be seen, trusted to be heard, trusted to perform.
Back to NASCAR Coast to Coast, brought to you by Whelen and by Hercules Tires. Here are Hannah Newhouse and Kyle Rickey.
Each and every week here on NASCAR Coast to Coast, we get the opportunity to highlight one of NASCAR's short tracks across the country, brought to you by Whelen Engineering. And this week's Whelen Track Spotlight is Oswego Speedway up in Oswego, New York. It is a 5/8 mile asphalt track known as the Big O and the Steel Palace. It was built in 1951 as a 3/8 mile dirt track and then was converted from a horse track. It was paved in 1952 and then enlarged to its current size in 1961, and it has been running weekly races since opening in 51. In some racing circles, the track is known as the Indy of the East, as dozens of weekly drivers have competed in the Indianapolis 500, including Indy 500 winners Gordon Johncock and Mario Andretti. The Budweiser International Classic weekend is arguably one of the most well-known open short track events held in the country, and held each Labor Day weekend since 1957, featuring the International Classic, Novelis Super Modified Classic 200, and the Race of Champions Modified Race. NASCAR drivers that have won the Race of Champions include Brett Bodine, Jeff Bodine, Greg Sachs, Jimmy Spencer, and NASCAR Hall of Famer Richie Evans. In 2016, the track was covered with 6,900 cubic feet of dirt to hold the Napa 300 Dirt Car Modified Race. It was the richest modified race in the world. The 2020 schedule is slated to begin on May 23rd, with the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour making a stop at the track the Saturday of the International Classic weekend. Again, thank you to Whelen Engineering for allowing us to spotlight a NASCAR short track each and every weekend.
Whelen designs and manufactures reliable and powerful warning lights, white illumination lighting, sirens, controllers, and high-powered warning systems for automotive, aviation, and mass notification industries worldwide. Every part of every Whelen product is proudly designed and manufactured in America and is tested on site to meet the toughest industry certifications on the road, in the air, and around the world. Whelen is trusted to be seen, trusted to be heard, trusted to perform.
Back to NASCAR Coast to Coast, brought to you by Whelen and by Hercules Tires. Here are Hannah Newhouse and Kyle Rickey.
Welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast here on the Motor Racing Network. We talked about it at the beginning of the show, and many of our race fans and drivers have found ways to get creative while staying safe and staying at home during these times, and we want to know what you've been up to. I've gotten plenty of things done around the house. I've cleaned and organized just about everything I can, and my phone is now full of photos of Janet. But we want to know what's been keeping you occupied at the time. Join us on our Twitter page and tweet us at MRN Coast to Coast. You could tweet Kyle your favorite Disney character, send me pictures of your dog. If you're feeling super desperate at the end of it, we just want to know what is getting you through this racing void. But again, plenty of virtual racing is coming your way over the next week, with Fox taking to virtual Texas Motor Speedway for another iRacing race in the Pro Invitational Series. The eNASCAR Heat Pro League also has launched their second season of the eNASCAR Heat Pro League, and they're going to be racing their second preseason race. It'll be taking place at Mid-Ohio. Last Wednesday, they raced at Chicagoland in Cup Cars. This week, they are going right and left at Mid-Ohio and in Xfinity cars. And this is, if you're unfamiliar with the eNASCAR Heat Pro League, gamers across the country are competing for a spot to race for one of NASCAR's virtual esports teams in their second year of the eNASCAR Heat Pro League. It's been something I've been involved with since its beginning last year. Been a lot of fun to call. And again, lots of entertainment there for your Wednesday evening. There's another replacement 100 race that is supposed to start there now. It's become a series, actually. And there'll be plenty of virtual short track racing as Speed 51 continues to host virtual short track races throughout the week. We hope that everyone continues to stay safe. Don't forget, wash your hands during this time. Use that hand sanitizer and stay home if you possibly can. We want to send a big thank you to Hickory Motor Speedway's Jason Sherrill for joining us, as well as a huge thank you to Kyle Rickey and our producer Craig Moore, who are all making this happen and come together as we work from home. Don't forget to join us on NASCAR Coast to Coast here on the Motor Racing Network next week. Bye, guys.
You've been listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast, presented by Whelen, also brought to you by Hercules Tires. NASCAR Coast to Coast is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.